Welcome back, America. The game is upon us on Saturday. The Buckeyes versus that team up north. I'm not sure Matt Continetti of AEI and the commentary pod picks a side in this classic matchup. Matt, do you pick a side in this classic matchup?
In this matchup where I have no stake in the game, Hugh, I side with you. So I
Thank
am
you.
rooting
Thank you.
for Ohio State. Yes.
Great,
Looking
great.
forward
Now,
to it.
I want to test your physics knowledge because it comes important. Question number one for Matt Continetti.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Do you know that, Matt?
um, no, I don't. Is
All
it
right.
Monty Python?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
from the Holy Grail. John Bodortz would
that's
know.
what I thought.
Second question.
Right.
You have a
Yes.
5-year-old or somewhere around there, right?
They're older than that now, but I have had a 5-year-old. Yes.
All right. So I have a physics question. My grandchild arrived last night. All four of them came, and my son-in-law is deployed. So I got charged with getting the 5-year-old out of the car seat and up to the stairs to bed. Why do 5-year-olds increase in poundage by a factor of 3 when they're dead asleep?
No, that's true. Actually, I think it's kind of comforting. I thought it was always nice to have that feeling when the baby's asleep on your shoulder and it's like kind of a blanket or something like that. My kids are a little bit older now, so I don't get that feeling as much. I have to
There's
drive them to
nothing
that's
as
my real
asleep
job is
as a.
driving them from sporting event to sporting event.
You spend every Saturday morning at a soccer field or a
Oh, a
baseball
baseball
field or
diamond. Yeah, and yeah,
baseball
absolutely.
diamond. God, did you have to do T-ball, which should be illegal? I'm asking for that to be in the reconciliation package, the banning of
T-ball is
T-ball.
fun. My son, he was such an enthusiastic baseball player, still is. But when he was playing T-ball, it wouldn't matter where the manager put him on the field. He would chase the ball wherever. So he could be at first base, but next thing you know, if the play is in left field, that's where 5-year-old son Continetti is. So that was
You know,
enjoyable.
it's enjoyable for like half an hour, but a T-ball game it might still be going on. I just think it
That's
should be in the budget reconciliation package. Okay, let's get serious. The ceasefire. Last night, I was on with Leland Vittert on News Nation, and Leland played the clip of Joe Biden saying, "This brings to a close the conflict in Lebanon." And I almost jumped out of my chair. No, it doesn't. It's imposed upon Israel because of the 60 days they've got to get through with this lame duck, merry band of appeasers. They're out of weapons, and Netanyahu had to do it to avoid a Security Council resolution like 2016 when Obama did the jam down that declared the Western Wall occupied territory. Do you think this is a real ceasefire, or is Israel just going to let Hezbollah rearrange itself and then go back to destroying it?
Well, this is Thanksgiving, so I'll use a food metaphor, and the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And what this ceasefire really comes down to is the ability of Israel to enforce it. I know that in some of the diplomatic language, France is involved, which is never a good sign.
Not
America
a good
says
thing.
that it's going to be part of a committee to watch whether Hezbollah rearms and moves toward that border region between the Litani River and northern Israel. But at the end of the day, this is going to be up to Israel to make sure that Hezbollah does not get into a position like it was on October 6th. And I trust Netanyahu enough to believe that if he sees that Hezbollah is taking dangerous moves, he will act because that's where the Israeli public is. That's what they demand. There are many people in Israel who are dissatisfied with this ceasefire. I happen to think that when you look at Netanyahu's logic, especially how he focuses on the Iran challenge, which is behind all of this, whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis, there's, I think, an argument to be made for this 60-day pause.
All right, so I listened to the commentary pod yesterday, and I recommend it to everyone. And it was a great move by Joe Biden to go to Israel, and it's been downhill since, and it's been downhill a lot faster than most people think. And if it were not for Joe Biden's muscle memory, we would have another 2016 National Security Council resolution coming out of this White House. I just think the band of appeasers around the president would do that. What do you think Trump will do differently in 60 days vis-a-vis Israel and its enemies?
Well, I think it's going to be a real difference between Biden and Trump, particularly on this issue of Iran. There's no question that the national security team that Donald Trump has put in place to take over on January 20th is going to pursue the policy of maximum pressure against the Iranian regime. That means tough sanctions. That means political warfare. That means being willing to take aggressive action, kinetic action, if Iran pushes too far in its violence against the West, its malign behavior in the region and against Israel. And I also think that should Israel decide that it needs to take action against Hezbollah, should Israel retaliate against the Houthis, which are continuing to ensnare our forces in the Red Sea, and let's not forget that Gaza is still it's a simmering front, but it's still an active front, and of course the hostages have not been retrieved. I think Trump will be much more willing to give Israel room, and part of that is sending the weapons. I mean, one of the reasons, as you alluded to, Hugh, is that for the ceasefire is that Biden and the Americans have been slow walking the weapons that Israel needs to fight this war on terror. That will not happen under President Trump.
I think you're right. All right, now I want to move on to the vice president's video. She released a very unfortunate video yesterday. I don't know who's advising her. I've never known. I saw David Plouffe talking yesterday, Jen O'Malley. I guess the 30-day embargo on selling your Kamala stock has been lifted and the insiders are getting out. And no one has asked yet, how did you spend $1 billion for? And I would like David Plouffe to be asked, how much did you pocket out of this? But what did you make of this video, Matt Continetti?
Well, I thought it was bizarre. I thought that once again, America really escaped a bad fate by avoiding Kamala Harris as our chief executive. I think we would be in a bad place if she were the president of the United States. And this video was a reminder of that. I also think it was funny, Hugh, because just a few days earlier, Politico's Playbook had written a long piece touting Kamala's future in politics. Oh, she's going to run for governor of California. Oh, she's going to look at the presidency, run for the nomination in 2028. I don't know how anyone can look at this video that she released last night and then say that her political future is bright. I think this video reminded everybody of her weaknesses as a candidate that, I mean, hindered her in her first run for president in 2019, where she didn't even make it to Iowa. And then, of course, hindered her campaign, where she was put into the presidential nomination without a single primary vote. So I think this is the end for Kamala Harris. But, the Democrats are in such a state. They may have no other choice but to elevate her, whether in California or nationwide.
If she had any kind of an advisor, Matt, they would have added a line in the speech. You won't have Kamala to kick around anymore. And then she would have gone and lost a run for California and then showed up in 8 years as their nominee. But they don't have any talent over there. Let's move to tariffs. I heard you guys talking about tariffs yesterday. I have a different view of tariffs. There are two kinds of tariffs. There are tariffs to raise money. That's what Hamilton liked and Lincoln liked, but that was before the income tax. The president doesn't have the authority to impose revenue-generating tariffs. He does have the authority to impose national security tariffs. I am applauding the attempt to get the attention of China, Mexico, and Canada on fentanyl and migration. And I think the message was already received. If I saw little clips of the new president of Mexico and Justin Trudeau, boy, not so wonder. What do you think? Was the message received, and is that just the opening bid by Donald Trump?
Well, like all of his opening bids, he goes for the grand gesture, and then it's a matter of seeing how his negotiating partners react to it. I think it's interesting that the through line in all of the proposed tariffs, whether it's Mexico, Canada, or China, is fentanyl, is the poisoning of Americans, which is behind the deaths of despair, which itself is behind the Trump phenomenon, right? So he understands that combating the scourge of fentanyl is very important to his success as president in this upcoming second term. I think that it's interesting to watch how Sheinbaum, the new Mexican president, will respond to Trump. Trump threatened tariffs against Mexico during his first term, and Mexico, under the previous president, Lopez Obrador, responded pretty well. And there was action, and there was signs of agreement. And in fact, Trump and AMLO, which was his nickname, the former president of Mexico, they got along. Interestingly enough, they were both kind of these populist figures, big personalities. I'm not so sure Trump will have a similarly friendly relationship with this new Mexican president, Sheinbaum. She seems uh, much more technocratic, much more ideological, and much more, I think, hostile to personalities such as Trump. And that could be real friction. And I think bad for Mexico in the end. Because when we look at the Trump policies, he understands, I believe, that he has a few big missions. The first big mission, Hugh, is to get the economy back to where it was in 2019. The second big mission is to solve the border crisis, to begin the deportations. And the third big mission, of course, is creating peace in the world, resolving the conflict in Ukraine, and restoring deterrence and the balance of power in the Middle East. Well, that second piece, immigration, that has a lot to do with our relationship with Mexico. And it would be very bad, I think, for the Mexican president to come into this new era with a adversarial posture toward Donald Trump.
She gave a speech last night, and I'm relying on subtitles as I don't speak Spanish, which appeared to be a lot of chest beating at the end, but we'll take care of the migration problem, and then we won't have to do the tariff war. So I think she's essentially surrendered, as Justin Trudeau has as well. We will see. Minute to the break. Matt, and I want to talk to you during the break about budget and reconciliation. Quick question. Harvard's got a $50 billion endowment. Most of the Ivy Leagues have billions and billions. Should the federal government give any grant money at all to any university with $1 billion in an endowment?
No, not at all. And in fact, I think as part of the reconciliation bill, which we'll talk about in the break, the tax on endowments as large as Harvard's should be raised.
I agree, and I don't really want to tax schools like Hillsdale that don't take money from the federal government, but I do not want any more money to go to any university that's sitting on $50 billion. It's obscene. Spend the money. I'll be right back with Matt Continetti. We'll put it on the podcast today. I'm back with Matt Continetti of the American Enterprise Institute, the Commentary Pod. He writes for the Washington Free Beacon as well. Matt, I wrote a column for Fox News yesterday about budget and reconciliation and how they can go far and fast if John Thune keeps the Senate there, Speaker Johnson keeps the House there, they negotiate the budget. The budget resolution passes, the trailer bills come. There's no reason in the real world why this can't be done by the end of February. Do you think it will be? Extending the tax cuts, building the wall, rebuilding defense, maybe conditioning block grants to the states for education on school choice being in place. They can do a lot. Do you think they will?
They can do a lot. They could get the reconciliation bill done relatively early, but I have to say I do have my doubts, Hugh, and mainly because this incoming Republican House majority is extremely small. There are three outstanding races with, I mean, margins within hundreds vote or less, and if they fall the way that they're running right now, you would have essentially a 220 to 215 Republican margin, one of the smallest ever. And then when you factor in Gates's resignation and, of course, Stefanik and Waltz resigning to join the administration in January, that brings the Republicans down to 217 to 215. I mean, you really don't see margins like this. And what that says to me, Hugh, is that the real challenge for Trump legislatively is the House of Representatives. Can he get the House of Representatives to agree on this reconciliation package? I think he can, but I think it will be more of a haul than people are anticipating right now.
Matt, I think he's going to send a memo to every Republican. You will have a primary challenge if you do not vote for the reconciliation budget. And the rest of the time, you can go your own way. But I need my Trump tax cuts. I need everything in that because we've got to win in 2026, and we're not going to win in 2026 unless the economy is booming and we need these authorities. Do you think even the Freedom Caucus, there are some people like Tom Massey who are really, really irresponsible, but Matt Gaetz is gone, so the most irresponsible, Nancy Mace is irresponsible. Do you think that will make them buckle, the idea that he will recruit a primary challenger if they do not pass this bill?
That will be a point of leverage. But, you know, Hugh, I read your column as always, and I digested it and I marinated on it. And there are two parts in suggestions you make that I think might prove difficult for this majority. The first is the SALT, you know, rearranging the cap on state and local deductions. There are a lot of blue state congressmen from the Republican Party who want that, but of course there are many red state Republicans who don't. And so that fight, I think, is going to be pretty intense within this narrow margin. And the second is the proposal that you had to regularize the Dreamers. Big move, very, very bold move. But with this Republican conference, I don't see it getting in. My advice would be to actually narrow reconciliation to make it go through much more quickly, like you say. And that means focusing first on the taxes, focusing on including the no tax on tips, right? And the no tax on Social Security. So you have to find ways to pay for, because that's part of how we get reconciliation. And then focusing on energy, and then budget cutting, which is the other
You know,
piece
man,
that
I want you to reconsider the Dreamers, because both Biden and Obama went left when they won. Donald Trump should go to the center and expand his coalition. 10 seconds. Do you think he has any? Do you think he intuits he's got to expand the coalition?
I think you can revisit that once you secure the border and once the deportation program begins, Hugh. But the way that you treat this issue is through sequencing. And I don't think the political capital or the public trust is there to regularize the Dreamers under Trump now. Let's get the immigration under control. Then we can move to the Dreamers, perhaps in the back half of the second term.
Continetti, always pleasure to talk to Matt Continetti. Follow Continetti on X. Listen to the Commentary podcast, which is still late every single day, Matt, but I digress. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Hugh.